Today I went to the mall, and it's one of the places I tend to frequent the most besides the library. I generally like going there because they tend to be good places to go if like it's really hot and you want to go somewhere that's got some air conditioning, somewhere to sit down, kind of just relax a little bit. And they tend to have, a restroom as well that you can just access and be out of anytime you want. I'm in there today. I'm sitting down, I'm on my computer, I'm editing this video as well, just doing different stuff on there. And one of these security guards comes up to me and says, "Oh, the camera caught you. You've been sitting here longer than 2 hours, and that's considered loitering. You don't have to leave, but could you maybe sit somewhere else?" And when I'm like approached by him, I'm kind of like taken aback because I've never had any issue with sitting somewhere, right, being a problem anywhere. So after he says this to me, I kind of nod my head and I get up and just leave from the place altogether. But I was thinking about this. I can be very accepting. Like I always go along with whatever the laws are. I'm not going to sit here and fight somebody over having the right to sit somewhere for longer than 2 hours. But I've never heard of that being considered loitering. And let me just kind of go into, again, examples of where it would make sense to me to enforce something like that. So a lot of different sit-in restaurants, right, like Denny's, back when they used to have customers, they have a policy where somebody finishes eating their food, it's been half an hour, 2 hours, they tell them to get out of there. And again, they do that normally because they want to make sure that the people who are coming in are able to, be seated. They don't have to sit here and wait for somebody to stop staring at their phone or talking to whoever they're talking to actually be able to sit down. But when you go to this mall, they have, I'd say, at least, if it's not a dozen chairs, it's close to 20 something tables, I should say, with 4 chairs each. They have these two different little couch areas that I see they're like right next to each other, and that's actually the one I'd like to go to the most because they have a little outlet where I could charge my stuff. And I guess what I'm getting at here is that I can be, again, behind that, rules relating to loitering if someone is somewhere for a prolonged period of time, right? Like they're there all day long, or them being in that spot is like hindering somebody else from sitting down. But if you're in a mall which has loads and loads and loads of chairs and the person's only been sitting there for a few hours, I can't really see where the issue is. And it's like, even the guy, you could tell, like, when he brings up, like, oh, you were, caught on camera, that's him admitting that, like, this isn't something he really cares about, but because of their own little, like, stringent rules, he's having to enforce it. And I was just, again, like, thinking to myself, who does it help to tell somebody that they can't sit in one spot for longer than 2 hours? Like, if your place has a whole bunch of seats, what's the issue? Now, I've also been supportive of, like, they have different parking lots that will say, 2 hour parking, 10-minute parking, 20-minute parking. And again, at least with that, there's the possibility that if somebody parks their car there for, let's say, a full day, and usually they have a no overnight parking sign to discourage people from sleeping in their cars or from just being in the parking lot, again, overnight. Um, at least with those, there's the possibility that if enough people park somewhere, it could take up the whole parking lot, and then nobody, people who are actually like trying to go to that business wouldn't be able to go there. But it's like the mall is the most withered, completely drained of life place I've ever seen. That certainly that one is anyway. I mean, I've gone in there, and me and some of the recurring customers know each other. Like, I've seen several different people that also just frequent the place who I'm able to pick out and remember because so few people are even in there. So it's like, again, what is the problem with this person sitting here? And I was also going to say that this is a mall that has a movie theater, right? Which, in my opinion, makes it even crazier that you can't sit somewhere for 2 hours or longer, because You might be at the mall with one of your friends, and your friend goes to see a movie with, let's say, somebody else or by themselves, and they're like, I'll sit out here and wait for you. But you wouldn't be able to do that, or else you'd have to move around. And this, again, goes back to, like, why stuff like this is stupid. I brought up that with the restaurant job I had, they had this thing where if you were an employee, you could get a discount, right? Stuff would be half off. And initially, when I used it, I could get two of something in the same order and they would both be half off. But then later on, because they're cheapskates, they tried to change it to where you could only, if you order two of something, it would only apply for one of the orders. So you would, like, if you were buying, let's say, two burgers and they're both $13, instead of having to pay, whatever half of 26 is, 13, you would instead pay full price for one and half off for the other. So that's like their way of trying to not of trying to squeeze more money out of you, even while supposedly being charitable to you as someone that works there. But I said this was really stupid because the way it's set up is that, so again, they're trying to get more money out of you if you order from there, right? If you order two of something or two of anything, they're gonna like claim there's a loophole where it can only apply to one during the order. So theoretically, somebody, and I wouldn't be able to do this because I don't live around that area, but somebody could order something in the afternoon, right, and get it half off, and then come back in the evening and order something and get it half off. But it's like if that's something a person can do by simply ordering one thing at a time, why not just let them order two things at the same time and get them both half off if they would be getting them half off when they do it, one by one. Like, I guess what I'm getting at is I'm comparing it to that because you're not being told in being in the same spot for so long that, like, oh, we want you to leave from here. They're saying, oh no, you can sit somewhere else. So there's clearly not, this policy is not about like, oh, this person sitting here is actively harming or doing something to the people who are shopping or other people that may want to sit, because like I said, they have a whole bunch of seats around there. It's literally, well, if I can still be in here by simply sitting in one spot for an hour and then sitting in another spot for an hour, why can't I just sit in the same spot for 2 or 3 hours if it's all going to have the end result of me still being here anyway? And like I said, I can totally understand where if you go to a restaurant and you're sitting in there from 8 in the morning to 12 in the afternoon or, whatever, okay, fine. But again, you're in a mall where there's a whole bunch of stores, right? Just all on left side, right side, a whole bunch of seats, and you being in one spot for a few hours is a problem. I don't know. It just seems like everywhere, every time I turn around, there's some different rule that's like designed on purpose to just mess with people. Just to like be an extra pain in your side. I mean, it wasn't even, I think, a month ago where I was trying to, because I mentioned that like different apartment buildings don't let you have your own washing machine, so I tend to hand wash my stuff. I was going to get some water from the faucet at this park, and the last time I came in there and I had like a bucket to just like pour all the water in. One of the, I guess, I don't know if it was a woman that worked there or was like, I called herself, being nosy, but some woman like followed me into the restroom, I guess apparently thinking that I had this dastardly plan with the bucket. But I tried to circumvent that or like not have that happen again by taking just a regular cup and getting some out of there. And the guy who was working was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get you a bucket because so you don't have to keep like going back and forth between in the bathroom." And he tried to get me one, and then he was told by the supervisor that she had a problem with me walking back and forth to get water. And I was just thinking to myself, this is a public park. There's nobody here at 7, 8 in the morning. So there's two sinks. So even if I were at one for however many minutes, somebody could use the other one. It's like, how are you going to deny someone just being able to get some damn water? But again, it's that same thing of, this is not hurting anyone, but the persons or people who are deciding to enforce rules or can enforce rules are going to have a problem with you regardless. And I mean, all this stuff kind of like trickles down, right? Maybe if apartments allowed people to have washing machines and it was just easier to access stuff that you could clean your clothes with that didn't cost an arm and a leg, right? Like these different laundromats. But again, they don't want to like deal with any of the socioeconomic stuff, so they cut the middleman by going, oh, you can't get water out of here. Um, and it's just it's another one of those things where I'm like, every time people are in an like just in a situation where they can screw with you, they will do it. I have never been told at any place I've sat at or been at or whatever, hey, you've been sitting here too long, and not even like, oh, you've been sitting here for like hours. We're specifically upset that you've been sitting in the same spot for 2 hours. So if you want to like sit over there for an hour and then back over here for an hour and then over, it's I mean, like I'm laughing at it, but like you have to ask yourself this of all the things we could enforce and draw issue with someone for doing, sitting down is a problem. Like what the hell are these seats for other than to sit? And my thing is like, if there's going to be a time limit on how long you can sit down, they should put up signs. Hey, you can only sit in these seats for 120 minutes. The reason they don't do that is because they know it's very uninviting to tell people, yeah, there is a certain amount of time you can sit here, and then we're going to tell you to get the hell out of here. But it's that same thing where there's so much antagonism and such an adversarial relationship with the people that frequent these places and go to what are supposed to be like public, centers, that where even if you're like not hurting or bothering anyone, it still is a problem in the eyes of whoever the hell is running it. It's really sad. But I don't think I might. The only reason I'll go back to that mall is like maybe if I gotta use the bathroom and they're close by or something. But other than that, I think I'm done. I just don't like, you know, being bothered when I'm just. I guess it's one of those things where you have a lot of days where you're not feeling that great, applying for all these stupid jobs. Um, just the different shenanigans that happen every week. And it's like you just want to sit somewhere. Maybe you can just be on your computer, listen to some music, just whatever. The different things I do to just calm myself. And when you get bothered, when you're not doing anything to anyone, you're minding your own business because of some rule that's so dumb. Even the person enforcing it is like, yeah, sorry, man, I have to say something or I have to do something. That's how you know you live in a rotten society. So I better not catch anyone who watches this video sitting at the same spot for 2 hours, or I'm calling the security guards, and they're gonna reprimand you by not getting you out of there, but telling you got to move to another spot because we have a 120-minute limit on how long someone can sit in the same space. Even though there are seats all over the place, you being there, we have to erase.